Hi artists! Halloween is coming up, so we're going to be doing a Halloween related activity today. We're going to be making our own skulls for Halloween, and we're going to be adding some shading to our skulls. Shading helps make things look more three-dimensional, and shading is also known as value, the lights and the darks of a color. Artists make dark values by adding lots of pressure on their pencils. You can make a very light value, create a very light shade by adding minimal pressure on your pencil. And medium shades are all about experimenting with the level of pressure you are adding to your writing utensil or your drawing utensil. I'm going to show you some tricks today about how to create your own shaded skulls. Here we go. To create your own shaded skull, you're going to need a piece of paper and a pencil and maybe an eraser just in case. I want you to start today by drawing the shape of the skull first. Start by creating kind of like an upside down U shape on your paper. It's up to you how big it is. It's up to you where it is on the paper. I like to do it on the top half of the paper. Next, you're going to add the cheeks in. To add the cheeks, at the end of the upside down U shape, kind of create a very slight C shape or a backward C shape depending on what side of the skull you are working on. You're going to add the chin below the cheeks. You can do that by creating kind of a curvy line shape on each side, and you have a choice here. You can either go straight across to create the bottom of the skull, or if you want to have the skull have a slight like dip in the chin or curve in the chin, a cleft in the chin, you're welcome to do that instead of a straight line if you so prefer. It's really your choice. Now, after you do the chin, you're ready to draw the sockets for the eyes and the nose. Remember, this is a skull, so we're not drawing the details of the eyes or the nose. We're just merely drawing the shapes. I like to draw the shapes of the eyes a little bit like above the cheek. So the cheeks are here. I'm going to draw a shape for the eye, so kind of think about almost like an oval shape, but like not perfect. For the nose shape, you guys have choices here. If you want to do an upside down heart for the nose socket shape, you're welcome to do that. Do you have to do an upside down heart? No, there's other options too. Maybe you want to just do like two triangle shapes. Something like that would be fine too. So it's a visual preference, it's whatever you prefer. Now I'm going to add the mouth in. The mouth would go here, but I don't need to worry about lips. I just need to worry about the basic shape of the mouth. So to kind of guide me along here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the cheeks to kind of help me. I'm going to draw a line here on one side. I'm going to draw another line on the other side, and I'm going to kind of curve it so it's almost going to guide me. I'm going to make a curved line here so it would look like this would be like the jaw down here, and then I'm going to have to add the teeth in. So you guys have a choice. If you want to make like curved shapes for the teeth in real life do have that shape, so you're welcome to. If you prefer square teeth, you're welcome to do a square shape too. So it's really your choice. You're going to see the template on Google Classroom about how to draw a skull. So you can look at the examples and you can figure out which technique you like better. Something I like to do just for like a little bit of realism is I like to make the teeth in the front bigger and the teeth on the sides smaller, because in real life what's closest to you would be bigger and what's further away, what's more inset, would be smaller. For the bottom teeth, I'm going to do the opposite shape. So I just did upside down U shapes. Now I'm doing right side up U shapes. Now at this point, see if you need to tweak anything. Like I can see right now the jaw for me got like a little tiny. So this is where eraser comes in handy if you need to change something. If I want to make my jaw, my chin a little bit wider, I can definitely do that now. And I'm doing a really light line just in case I need to make changes down the road. Okay, so I have the basic shape. I'm just going to add a couple more line details before I start my shading. I'm going to add a line here. And you can see that on the skull that I did right here. This is just going to kind of help me out. This is going to be just kind of like to help the bone structure of the skull, and it'll kind of guide me with shading a little bit later. Now we're ready to shade. The trick when it comes to shading is things that are further back need to be a darker shade. So what we're gonna do first, and I highly recommend this first, start practicing shading by shading in the eye sockets. Now, if your pencil is super, super sharp, something you're gonna wanna do before you use it is dull it down. I know a lot of you like to use like the sharpest of sharpest pencils when you're writing or drawing. In art, it actually really helps to use a dull pencil. So if you have like a pencil tip that is like this sharp, you're gonna wanna make sure that it's more rounded. So you can kind of do that by dulling it down on the back of your paper or on a scrap piece of paper if it's not already dulled down. You want to kind of get like a nice rounded tip. Okay, so my pencil is not perfect, but I'm gonna roll with it. Doesn't need to be perfect. We'll see how this goes with shading. I'm gonna put a dark value inside my eye socket. So this is gonna be good practice for you guys today. What I like to do is I like to start at one side of the shape and kind of work my way down. And I'm gonna try to my best to stay inside those lines. I can kind of define it a little bit more if I want to at the end when I'm finished. And I can always go back in and make it darker if I need to later. I can do that for the nose socket shapes too. And something else I can add a dark shade to is if this was like a real life skull, or if you're trying to make this as realistic as possible, there would be an inset part that is between the jaw and like the top of the jaw. I don't remember the word for like the part below your nose. So we're just gonna go with it. If you want to add a darker value here, that'll also kind of help make your skull look a little bit more realistic, and like the bottom jaw is kind of protruding forward a little bit, or that part of the face kind of has some dimension to it. So it kind of helps to add that, and you guys can kind of see the difference between before and after. So these are like my dark value spots. I'm gonna even make these a little bit darker. Now that I've got my dark shadows in, I'm gonna do my lighter shadows. Something that you can do is you can think about, where's my light coming from? If the light is coming from the right side, shadows might be on the left side of the paper. So something really, really tricky that I want you to try is pick a side to be like the shadow side, either the right side or the left side. Take your pencil and you can very lightly, and I'm talking like light here, like not as dark as you did before, really, really lightly, just like add a light to medium shade on one side of the skull. So this is just like one side of the top of the head. Okay, and then I'm going to do that a little bit on the cheek as well. And then I'm going to do that a little bit over here at the jaw. I'm going to do that a little bit here at the chin. Now, you can actually use your finger as a tool, believe it or not. What you can do is you can actually smudge on the graphite. What I love to do, and this is like very satisfying, so I highly recommend using your finger as a tool today. Smudge on it, and it'll give it kind of like a smoky effect, and it'll kind of blend into the part of the paper that you haven't shaded. And I'm kind of moving my finger in the same way that I was moving my pencil to kind of guide that shading in. And I can even do that very lightly on the other side. I don't want to do it as much though, because this side of the paper is not supposed to be as in the shadows. But I do want to do a little bit of shading over here, because this part of the skull is like a little further back. It's a little bit more inset. So I'm going to add some shading right there. If you want to add some shading by the eye sockets, you're welcome to do that. I'm going to add a little bit of medium shading over here. A little bit of medium shading over here. I kind of went a little crazy shading this one. I shaded it like everywhere. You don't need to shade it everywhere in between the eye sockets. Just at the parts where the eyes meet. Yeah, there we go. So now you can see it looks like a little bit more pushed back. And I can also add a little bit of shading underneath the nose socket if I want to. Do you have to? No, but it's just really fun to shade, so feel free to do that. And take a look at your artwork. If you think that you need any darker shading anywhere, you're welcome to do that. Like for me, I think it would look nice if I added a little bit more of a darker value right here, because that is the shadow side after all. So that would be great. I can add a little bit more of a shade over here. And I can even darken up my lines that make my skull if I want to as well. If you would like to add anything else to your skull project that I have not added today, feel free to do that. Maybe you have some sort of like design in the background. Maybe you would like to actually use a Sharpie to kind of define your shapes. You're welcome to do that. Maybe you'd like to even add a little bit of shading to one side of the teeth. I'm doing that right now, and I'm going to just add a little bit of graphite pencil, really, really light, and use my finger to kind of blend it in. So this is practice today. This is a really great way to practice shading. Try to make some dark values, try to make some light values, try to make some medium values today, and just kind of feel it out. See how you do. I hope you have fun. I can't wait to see what you come up with today.